We will discuss autonomous technology today, particularly autonomous ride-hailing. Why do we care so much about autonomous vehicles then? Because we believe that their low cost to consumers will result in a high level of demand. We believe that autonomous ride-hailing and taxi services will soon rule the city. In the end, this might be one of the greatest innovations in economic productivity delivery ever. By 2030, autonomous ride-hailing systems may have contributed about $26 trillion to the global economy. For comparison, it is projected that the GDP will be around $89 trillion in 2021. However, that is only an estimate until the numbers are released. Additionally, the $2 trillion in profits that we anticipate from these systems are included in the $26 trillion. Therefore, there is a sizable market opportunity. Alright, before we get into discussing why, if you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more upcoming videos like this. Now, let's get into it. As a result, we anticipate autonomous ride-hailing to be very affordable at its entry level. We estimate that you could charge a consumer about 25 cents per mile while still making a profit. How does this compare to what we have right now and what we've gone through in the past as shown in the chart here? Since the Model T left the first assembly line in the 1930s, the cost of point-to-point mobility hasn't changed. Driving a brand new personal vehicle cost about 75 cents per mile at a time, and it still costs about 75 cents today. With autonomous ride-hail, that is altering. Thanks to a higher utilization rate, that cost could be as low as 25 cents per mile. And to further clarify, a personal car is typically only used for 5% or less of the day. A taxi in New York City might have a 30% utilization rate. According to our estimates, autonomous taxi utilization rates could reach 50%. The cost is being reduced as a result of this. Of course, autonomous vehicles will have a lot of advantages. We believe they will be much safer. They'll be very practical. However, what does we believe will fuel demand? That represents the cost. The market for autonomous ride-hailing should draw in both car owners and those currently involved in the ride-hailing industry. The price per mile that you could charge a consumer is the subject of much of the new work we've done this year. And before we go on, if you want to support this channel more, you could join our membership program and try our super thanks, wherein your comments will be highlighted. According to Ark Invest's initial analysis, that could be $25 per mile. However, after closer inspection, we've concluded that there ought to be many more price categories. How did we get there then? As we examined the perceived value that consumers place on their time, we also examined the value that consumers attribute to the time they spend driving. Therefore, we estimate that the average consumer values their time at between 60 cents and $10 per mile. Time spent traveling for work is at the high end of that spectrum. Time spent on, say, errands or personal travel is at the low end of that. But today, consumers pay about $2 per mile on average for ride-hail in Western markets. That's about the average price of an Uber today. So they're already paying up for this additional convenience of ride-hailing. Furthermore, this is significantly more expensive than the marginal cost of driving. Driving's variable cost is therefore its marginal cost. Essentially, it is what you consider while driving. Unlike the fixed costs, which are also included in our estimate of 70 cents per mile, gas insurance covers all of the expenses you incur on a daily, weekly, monthly, or annual basis. Therefore, the marginal cost is approximately 34 cents per mile. Therefore, today's consumers pay much more than that for ride-hailing. Importantly, if you refer back to our estimate of $25 per mile for the most affordable possible autonomous driving, you'll see that it will be less expensive than even just the 34 cents marginal cost of driving. The so-called autonomous rideshare will appeal to a wide range of people. It will, in my opinion, significantly increase the number of consumers in the ride-hail market. You can imagine that there will be a segment of demand worth, if you look at this chart, worth around $134 million when we segment the market using the analysis I just mentioned. According to price points from current ride-hailing options, which range from 2 to 4 cents per mile and are primarily available in Western markets, there is a $990 billion opportunity to replace commuter miles in Western markets. This falls on the higher end of our analysis of the value of time. Then there is another $2.4 trillion worth of non-commuting mile opportunities. This is once more the value that people place on their driving miles in Western markets. Then there ought to be about, in any case, shifting away from Western markets and into nations like China, where ride-hail is already very affordable. Another $2.75 trillion worth of opportunity exists there. This results in a slightly lower cost per mile of about 50 cents. Finally, there is an additional $5 trillion in opportunity for autonomous taxis in the extremely long tail that you can see in this graph. In a presentation, Sam of Ark Invest mentioned that there could be neighborhood electric vehicles. You could imagine this being a specifically constructed autonomous taxi. And because they suddenly have access to incredibly cheap point-to-point travel, this is a market segment where you can draw in a lot more people who aren't currently participating in ride-hail. This amounts to an addressable market size of about $11 trillion overall. And I'll add that this is the addressable market. I'll discuss what we anticipate the market to look like in, say, the next 10 years. Because it's relevant at the moment, I'd also like to point out that if you consider our 25 cents per mile estimate, it attracts a lot of additional customers to the ride-hail area. We believe that the use of autonomous taxis will result in more traffic overall. The graph shows that traffic may increase by more than a factor of 2 over the next 10 years. This is since we naturally anticipate autonomous ride-hailing to be affordable and practical. Although more importantly, it could increase in the customer base, which would increase the number of trips made. People might take it more frequently. But fortunately for us, air taxis are still in their early stages. These are therefore flying electric autonomous machines. On short trips, they can carry a single person or a small group of people. Additionally, assuming regulatory requirements are met, the price of an air taxi could be similar to the price of a taxi from Manhattan to JFK today. So, take an airport cab, and it will take you about 18 minutes to get there. Of course, this is considerably less expensive than modern helicopters. You can probably guess that the decision at the time will be between taking an air taxi and an autonomous taxi. The autonomous taxi, which you can see here in green, will cost much less, possibly just $10 for the entire trip, but will also take longer because of the increased traffic. In essence, that is the trade-off you will have to make between the two. Finally, I'll point out that you can see subways on this graph. We believe that one of the least expensive options will continue to be public transportation. Additionally, we believe that autonomous platform providers should receive the majority of the economic benefits when considering the enterprise value that we anticipate with these systems. The technology stack is owned by these businesses. The business is developing the technology that will enable self-driving cars. Therefore, we estimate that the value of these systems to the public enterprise could total $11.7 trillion by 2026. And if you consider the current automakers and car rental businesses in the automotive ecosystem, as well as the ride-hail market, we don't necessarily believe that those players will be around in the future. So, starting with ride-hailing companies, their assets and their drivers are going away. They might not exist in 10 years if they don't collaborate with prosperous autonomous technology providers. The take rate they get from their system may be considerably lower than it is now if they do partner with autonomous technology providers because the company that makes the car drive itself reduces their cost. The automakers are the businesses that will have the most sway over the system. Therefore, the enterprise value of all automakers as of November 2017 was about $4 trillion. And keep in mind that those are primarily gas-powered car manufacturers. EV production represents a single-digit percentage of all vehicles produced annually. Additionally, we predict that the market for manufacturers of autonomous electric vehicles will consolidate in the future. Even without autonomous technology, not every automaker will make it through the transition to electric technology. The autonomous electric future, however, could present a $1.6 trillion opportunity for those who seize it. And once more, that area will be much more condensed. I'll also mention that you could combine the purple and green bars in this graph on the right by adding them together. We can estimate the enterprise value of fully integrated companies to be around $13 trillion. Therefore, businesses that are fully vertically integrated like Tesla and that are producing both the hardware, the car that goes with it, and the technology stack could feed into a market with an estimated enterprise value of $13 trillion. Finally, fleet owners. By 2026, there will be an enterprise value of about $300 billion. These are businesses that may provide car rentals and are hoping to make it through this change. An essential component of the ecosystem is the businesses that house and maintain the vehicles. But compared to the other two categories, economics will have a slightly smaller share. Overall, we predict that autonomous ride-hail could increase the global GDP by about $26 trillion by 2030, and it might have the greatest significance of any innovation in history. How do we get there then? You can see on the graph to the left that we are looking at these different categories of total losses and total gains that we anticipate for that GDP number for 2030. Okay. So sales of personal vehicles total almost $2 trillion on the negative side. You can therefore imagine that as autonomous electric vehicles become available for ride-hailing, more and more people will decide against buying cars. The next time you have the opportunity to buy a car, you might decide against it because you have stopped using your vehicle. And these will be gas-powered cars mainly. Right. That will no longer be purchased. So along with that, there's about $660 billion worth of fuel revenue that could go away. And finally, maintenance. Compared to gas-powered cars, electric vehicles require significantly less maintenance. All autonomous vehicles are anticipated to be electric. They are incredibly inexpensive to operate. We've heard, however, that they also provide better technology integration. These are opportunities. Finally, on the losses side, we are categorizing the money spent on car accidents into the following buckets: medical expenses, property repairs. Over 1 million people die in car accidents worldwide each year. Over 3,000 people will likely pass away just today. So, although these revenue sources are disappearing, I believe that society as a whole will ultimately benefit from this. Insurance is the next bucket after that. In comparison to today's human-driven cars, autonomous vehicles should have an accident rate that is 80% lower. As a result, insurance for these vehicles is likely to become more affordable. Gains total around $30 trillion. This includes a $16 trillion increase in productivity. We anticipate the taxi platforms themselves to generate $10 trillion in service revenue, a financial benefit for the continuation of life. Once more, we spare over 1 million people each year from dying in car accidents, and they go on to lead fulfilling lives as contributing members of society. Then there will be an additional $1 trillion in sales of autonomous vehicles. Therefore, if you look at the graph on the right, it is from a similar time to robots. It starts in the 1850s and looks at steam engine robots in the 1990s and early 2000s. They all made up less than 1% of the total. Even though their combined impact on the annual GDP was less than 1%, they are all very significant. By 2030, we predict that robo-taxis will have a 2 to 3 percentage point effect on annual GDP. In our opinion, one of the most significant innovations we will witness in our lifetimes is this one. What is your opinion on this? Leave a comment on it in the comment section below. And that's it. Thank you for watching. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe to be updated for more upcoming videos like this. And if you like these videos, don't forget to hit the like button. You might also want to check out the other videos on this channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the next one.